This is an independent podcast. Too Naked to Hide by Nina J. Course. Chapter 2. Early Morning, a recap of a daily life. You can find me on www.toonaked.me. A hell of a day. His mouth felt dry and sticky. The coffee was too strong and the milk too watery. The radio still squealed mindless ads. Oh, don't look! He was checking the water for the pasta, which bubbled simmering in the pot. He took a long wooden spoon and stirred the pasta in. She had come in, holding a large bag. He could hear her moving about and panting. I'm not looking. But he peeked from the corner of his eyes, and so she was lifting the beanbag, shaking it and breathing heavily, absorbed in something he couldn't make out. Hold on, okay? Don't look yet. The beanbag kept going up in the air and flop on the ground. Then a moment of silence. He had turned again to the pot, listening to the sound of water bubbling happily over the flame. He felt serene. He hadn't felt this content in a long time. Well, you might not like it, but hey, it's just a try. You can look now. Jacopo turned around. She had taken off her shoes and was standing by the bloom bag, which lay near her bare feet, covered in a white material with a light green pattern. The bean bag looked new. He looked at it in stupor. Well, I just wanted to give it a try. If you don't like the color, we can just get another one. How did you do that? Oh, it's one of my daughter's duvet covers. See, you can buy another one if you don't like this print. What do you think? You don't like it? She had leaned against the window and placed her hands behind her back, trying to decipher Jacopo's hesitation. The bean bag looked perfect, new. He felt cheerful. He smiled. A smile that came swelling from the bottom of him, like the soap bubbles he blew as a kid. A silver bubble rising up into the air, popping a sparkle of wonder above their heads. He felt happy. The timer rang. The 6 minutes of cooking time were up. It's so beautiful. Come, help me drain the pasta. She walked to the stove and grabbed the pot, turning it over the colander with measured, graceful movements. He carefully came behind her and circled her hips, placed a hand over her belly, and kissed her neck. It's beautiful. For a fraction of a second, her body had stiffened up, but then Jacopo felt that she was letting go, while the hot steam rose, rushing to the ceiling in a white cloud, and vanished in the air. She placed the pot in the sink. He put her hands over his and took a long breath, as if wanting to take in all the steam. She leaned against Jacopo's head, and their cheeks touched. Come on, let me fix the pasta. But she had remained still, with their hands over her stomach and their cheeks touching. Yes, hurry up, I'm starving. And he released their embrace. During dinner, towards the end, Mr. Pagnan asked him to follow him into the house with the excuse of getting some more drinks, then took him under arm and led him inside. In the living room, Mr. Pagnan let his arm and walked in long strides to a low 1970s sideboard on which rested a large round tray filled with liquor bottles. There he started to fumble about with the bottles, with his head low, and Jacopo noticed his bent shoulders, the slightly oversized jacket, the faint shaking of one of his hands. He quickly glanced over the room and then at the shoulders and back of his host, who was still busy mixing drinks. Over a large round silver tray, 2 empty bottles with matching low glasses, adorned with geometric faceting, shimmered pompously. Nearby, a lineup of liquor bottles stood with their labels in full light. To one side, a well-polished champagne bucket held the ice cubes the hostess had set there ahead of time. Silver tongues lay in a small dish. Everything looked so different from his friend's house, and yet it was so close to him. Something that rang familiar to Jacopo. It felt like sitting in his mother's house, where everything had remained unaltered since the golden age of the 70s. Luxury furniture and fittings, only 30 years out of date, neither antique or new. His ex-wife rather, would have described them as quaint. Everything so utterly divergent from the minimal decor in fashion. Mr. Pagnan poured him some whiskey without asking if he had any preferences. Then he took a glass for himself, put in an ice cube and poured some whiskey. You know, I have a confession to make. This party is nothing but a pile of baloney my wife put together. As Mr. Pagnan went on talking, Jacopo, with a timing he always regretted as inappropriate, had just lifted his glass and tipped it towards his host, as if to make a toast. Mr. Pagnan had not responded to the gesture, and before he went on, he had downed his whiskey as if were gold-colored water. Jacopo had stood there, disoriented, perceiving a trace of an alarm directed to some unclear target. Then he had taken a long breath and swallowed his drink in a gulp. The ice clinked in his glass. I let her do what she likes, you know. I've got no future ahead of me. They diagnose a lymphoma, a malign form of leukemia. I've got no hopes, and my wife knows it, but it's a secret for now. You are the only one I've told. Nobody else is to know. The whiskey had slid down his throat straight to the mouth of his stomach, racing down his tortuous digestive tract at rocket speed. He could have charted the map of his guts, if only he could draw. Recollecting the events of the previous night, it came to Jacopo's mind that this was, for sure, going to be an horrible day. They walked back into the garden. The liquor bottles were forgotten inside. Meanwhile, the evening had picked up some spirit. The other guests sitting at his table were interesting people, and one of them was pleasantly recounting the turns of fortune his son and daughter-in-law were going through in their search for a house between Padua and Monselice. But the Jacopo digestive system had just gone on strike. At midnight, when the first guest had motioned to leave, he had excused himself and left. The kitchen was extremely silent, despite the radio being on. He got up quickly, cleared the table, put everything in the dishwasher, and went downstairs. He took off his pajamas, laid them on the bed, and went into the bathroom. Hi, Annie. How are things now? Oh, Jacopo, will you wish me good night? I'm waiting for it. kissing you. Things are not okay. I miss you. I am reading on my special chair, wishing you were here, so we could laugh and kiss all night long. I suspect that sooner or later I'll ask you to go steady. I suspect that sooner or later I'll say yes. But I ask myself when we'll ever have the time to be close and feel goosebumps. For now, think of me in your office. Man, you can spend your whole life in that bathroom. It's like you are performing ritual ablutions every morning. Her voice rang from the staircase. What? Ablutions? What's that? Are you speaking in riddles? Even without looking, he knew exactly where she was. Barefoot, wearing the t-shirt he had given her to sleep in, sitting halfway on the stairway, her legs propped on the railing. She would sit there every morning when they woke up together. She waited for him to get out of the bathroom, and she made a little fun of him. And so what? Huh? I'm an idiot. The rest of the sentence stopped short in his throat. I'm not like your husband. I'm a different man. But he had the strange feeling that maybe she had perceived the thought that had flown through his mind. He'd come out of the bathroom dressed in his bathrobe, more often naked, trailed by a whiff of soap, shampoo, and aftershave, and the moist scent of whipped skin right off the shower. He would lift his head, seeing her swinging her legs in the air. Then he'd go into his room to get dressed. She'd smile without speaking, a hushed, open smile from the top of her corner, there at the head of the stairs. Jacopo, you inhabit my nights and my days. But now I think of you being alone, and I am sad. I want you, but I am also scared for you. Then I think about walking this road together, and I feel better. Oh, yes, you're right. And plus, having a drink without your smile and your lips that taste of white wine. It's not physically possible. I love you. He got dressed. He quickly made his bed. He shut the windows and climbed the stairs. He took the house keys from the shelf and unlocked the door with 2 vigorous turns. Oh yes, it's locked. She'd always grab the door handle and pull down energetically to open, but it was locked. So she stopped before the door, and every time she was surprised and fussed that the door was locked during the night and the keys taken out of the lock and put on the shelf. Jacopo realized the first time that for a brief moment she felt trapped in. Every morning her surprise was real, and fear, a fleeting impression, her quick embarrassment faded in laughter, and she'd hold her breath and let it out once in the hallway. Every time he'd smile, bow his head, and calmly opened the door. God, I miss you. God, your lips knock me out and your skin inebriates me. I wish you were here even if you're dangerous. I can't be with you even half a day. I don't know how I will cope today in Monselice and how we will cope with our lives. Jacopo, let's try to live without a thought to the future. Today the future overwhelms me. In the afternoon, I will be somewhere you can find me. So much passion. Translation from Italian by Iris Cartia. Original music by Massimo Moretti for Maxmore Music. Post-production editing by Gina Lee. All mistakes are mine. If you want to see pictures of making of and life in Italy, please follow me, Nina J. Course, on Instagram and LinkedIn.